you set the record button.
John! Can you have it come up here for a sec? It's all 3 to 99.
That sunken
Just go that way.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the border battle between Gridiron Victoria and Gridiron South Australia. This is Nicholas Priest, joined by Phil Hurton, as we will be bringing you the action live from the Oval here, and this is going to be a beautiful day and a very interesting game between two teams that haven't played in a little while, but we're really excited to be able to bring you this one here today. Phil, how are we doing?
Yeah, good morning, Nick, and good morning, everyone, whether you're here at Karen Rolton Oval in absolute picturesque surroundings, blue sky, 14 degrees, or whether you're watching on the stream, interstate or even around the world. Welcome to Adelaide. They first clashed heads in 1987. At 9 in the morning was the kickoff time then for the Melbourne Bowl curtain raiser, and Victoria won that battle, and have had the best of it over that time. SA's got the occasional victory. I think it's been about 3 years since they clashed in the Australian Gridiron League. That was a very comfortable win in Melbourne to the Eagles of Victoria. Both sides, we can say, strong numbers and are ready to play some football.
Absolutely. You don't normally see the South Australian team outnumbering, well, most of the teams in the state competition, but certainly not Victoria. But in this instance, we do have more names on the South Australian side. Whether that will prove to be a difference there will be told on the field. But if there is going to be a year for a victory in a weird year like this, this may be the opportunity for South Australia to steal one. So we are working out live now. Phil, any observations from previous state games between these two teams? Like, what would you say that the key is for South Australia to try and pull the upset here?
Usually, Victoria has an exceptionally strong running game and like to run it down South Australia's throat. And South Australia likes to try and run around past and over the Victorian defence to varying degrees of success. But a couple of years off from previous games, different coaching philosophies. I mean, this is the great unknown of interstate football. You don't know until you actually meet head to head. Has your preparation been right? And are you ready to go?
And in a year where the games have not been particularly on schedule for a lot of the competitions, Victoria dealing with various lockdowns throughout the year, as well as South Australian having to postpone some games in the season, it will be interesting to see, like, familiarity isn't quite going to be there on the level that it might be, because it's simply been a long time since we've had these interstate games. And so some sort of familiarity with the coaching staff may not be there as much as it would be in previous years. So it's going to be an interesting matchup, and just you might have been preparing for a 4-3 defense or a spread offense, and they may come out with something entirely different here, and that is the big unknown.
Well, Victoria have a huge competition relative to South Australia, but that provides advantages and challenges. Advantage, great depth of talent pool to choose from. Challenge, getting 10, 12 clubs to work together as one.
Absolutely.
South Australia has the opposite issue, smaller league, smaller talent pool, but they know each other so well. And so coming together as one unit, gelling, so to speak, might be just that little bit easier. As I said, it's all a question mark. We'll find out on the football field very shortly. Kickoff is less than 10 minutes away. For those here at the facility, it's magnificent here at Karen Rolton Oval, and we do have the bar and canteen facilities open, so make sure you make use of those as the day progresses.
Absolutely. 13 teams in the Gridiron Victoria competition compared to just the 4 in the South Australian competition, but the South Australian competition, the offenses are very similar. We are predominantly a spread-based 4-team competition. Meanwhile, Victoria, we would have the depth of offenses there, and again, that may prove to be an advantage where you don't have to start from the ground up in the state competition learning an entirely different offense, because head coach for the South Australian team will be one of the head coaches for one of the local teams, so you do have that little bit more familiarity. Meanwhile, Victoria, again, the depth of the coaching is going to be one of their advantages as well, because they will have 13 teams worth of coaches to choose from and pick the positional and defensive and offensive best. Now we are getting lined up and getting prepared for the national anthem, and this should be a good one. The border battle between South Australia and Gridiron Victoria coming up right after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Karen Rolton Oval for today's border battle between Gridiron South Australia and Gridiron Victoria. We ask that you please rise and remove your caps for our Australian national anthem. You ready for some football, Nick?
We are ready, and let's get underway. Captain's going to be coming out for the coin toss as the teams take their respective sides. Some of the drama of the coin toss has seemed to be lost in recent years because whoever wins the toss tends to elect to defer, but still will be interesting seeing what exactly we're going to be looking for here. Will a team defer that conventional wisdom to try and seize momentum early when they haven't had as much competition between these two teams?
Of course, South Australia, in the middle of the off-season, play a September-December year. Victoria traditionally in the winter. I've got no idea what they've done battling COVID, but the captains are now coming out for the coin toss. Captains for Victoria, number 21, Darcy Young, number 1, Ben Curley, number 91, AJ Nanona, and number 13, who hasn't made our roster, but he's certainly out there ready to go. South Australian captains.
So South Australian captained by Jesse Whiten, number 23, number 50, Andy Stevens, number 58, Hugh Stevens, and number 17, Simon Whitehead. Each team in South Australia well represented, apart from the Adelaide Hogs, the perennial champions.
Victoria have won the toss. They will be defending the southern end. South Australia defending the northern end. And I think Victoria are kicking. We'll soon find out. And
no, South Australia looks to have the tee. So
okay.
A bit of a
first one wrong for the day.
First huddle for our officials. And Gridiron Victoria looking to receive here and start things off with a bang. And our first clash will be the Gridiron Victoria offense against the defense of South Australia Sharks. Coverage was good, but we're unable to make the stop. So first down at the 35. And our first clash will
receivers out
be
side
the
for
Gridiron Victoria
once again.
offense.
Sharks playing one deep. Motion
Will
cross,
be
high
the
snap,
Gridiron
and off up the
Victoria
middle, but
offense
again, met
against
right at the line of scrimmage. Nice running by Curley to get a few yards out of it as he was met right at the line. Andy Stevens made first contact.
Is that
But gain of 3.
Is that Andy Stevens with a red helmet on? It's
I
going to be
assume
a
it's the
Sharks
Sharks
helmet.
helmet.
Sharks helmet. Okay. That would be the
He would be one that I would not expect to
would be
change
one of the-
teams.
biggest transfers, because he's also been a fairly big. Well, he's been the soul and spirit of the Spartans club for some time. 2nd down and 8. The Eagles are at the 37-yard line. Trying to move this drive along. They'll go to the air across the middle, broken up by Jaden Kasbara. Incomplete. 3rd down coming up.
Kasbara right in that passing lane. South Australia brought heat. Corners have been playing good bit off, giving about an 8-yard cushion so far. And just playing with the one deep safety, so
Eagles are
really
at the
focusing on that
37-yard
run
line.
game.
So for those with the string,
move this drive along.
believe we may have
They'll
been
go
on
to
off
the
a
air
little bit
across the
just
middle,
to
broken
catch
up
up on
by
this Jaden
Victoria's first
Kasbara.
drive.
They faked a 4th down punt and coughed it over at the
Incomplete.
25
Third down
line.
coming
South
up.
Australia went 4 and
Kasbara
out
right in
passing.
that passing
This
lane.
is the second
South
series of the
Australia
game. The
brought
Vicks
heat.
have a
Corners
first
have
down,
been playing
3rd and 8.
Good bit off, giving about an
3rd and
8-yard
8,
cushion
again,
so
one
far.
deep
Safety, dropping back to throw. Nice ball lofted over the head, incomplete. And just playing with the one deep safety, so
Eagles are
really
at the
focusing on that
37-yard
run
line.
number 13, but
So
unable
for
to
those
connect
with the
there.
string,
Move this drive along.
believe
Just
we may
they'll
have
go
been
to the
on
air
off a
across
little
the
bit
middle,
just
broken
to
up
catch up
by
by
Jaden
Jaden
Kasbara.
Kasbara. They faked a
He's
4th
feeling
down
bold
punt
once again.
and coughed it over at the
Incomplete.
25
Third
line.
down
South
midfield.
Australia went
That's
4
fourth
and
and
out
8 in
passing.
that passing
This
lane.
is the
Generally,
second
once
series
again,
of the
we
game. The
brought
Vicks
heat.
have a
Corners
first
have-
down.
We thought that
3rd
last
and
time
8.
as well. Good bit off, giving about an 8-yard cushion so
one
far.
deep
Safety, dropping back to throw.
3rd down conversions.
Nice ball lofted over the
They've
head,
all been from long
incomplete.
distance. Haven't seen anyone
just
try and
playing with the one
establish the
deep
run
safety,
first
so
or second
really
down.
focusing on that
37-yard
run
line.
number 13, but
Short.
unable
For
to
those
connect
with the
there.
string,
Move this drive along.
believe
Just
we may
they'll
have
go
been
to the
on
air
maybe
across
down
the middle,
first
broken
down.
up
Catch
by
Jaden
Victoria.
Kasbara. They
Victoria
faked a
very
4th
feeling
down
bold
punt
running up the right
and
side.
coughed it over at the
Incomplete.
25
Third down
line. South
midfield.
Australia went
That's
4
fourth
and
and
out
8 in
passing.
that passing
This is
lane.
the second
Once again,
series
we
of the
really
game.
brought
The
heat.
Vicks have a
Corners
first
there.
down.
We thought that
3rd
last
and 8.
time as well. Good bit off, giving about
Handled
an
it
8
at
about
the
the 38-yard
safety.
line. Dropping back
Actually
to
caught
throw.
by the Sharks, so
Nice
no
roll. Ball
You know what's
lofted over
unique?
the
They've all
head,
been from long
incomplete.
distance.
What is it?
It's 100
Haven't seen
yards.
anyone
Just
try and
one
establish
deep
the run
safety.
first
Eagles
or second
second
down.
down,
Focusing on that
unique.
run number 13.
Short.
Breaking out the
For those
50.
with the string,
Move this drive along.
Breaking out the
Just
50.
go to the air across the middle, broken up by Jaden Kasbara. They
Victoria
faked a
very
4th
feeling
down
bold
punt
once again. Right
and
side.
coughed it over at the
Incomplete.
25
Third down
line. South
midfield.
Australia went 4
Fourth
and
and 8,
out
90
passing.
yards.
This is the second series of the game. The Vicks have a first down.
We thought that
3rd
last
yards
time
today.
a bit off, giving about
Handled
an
That
8
punt
about
officially
the
24
28-yard
yards.
line.
South Australia for the
Back to
first
throw.
time
By
down
the Sharks.
conversions.
Nice
They'll roll
ball
their own
lofted
territory.
over the
It's
head,
all been from long
incomplete.
distance.
What is it?
It's 100
seen
yards.
anyone
Just
try and
one
establish
deep
the run
safety.
first or
Eagles
second
second
down.
down.
Focusing on that run number 13.
Short.
Breaking out the
For those
50.
with the string,
Just a little bit. Breaking out the
Just
50.
go to the air across the middle, broken up by Jaden Kasbara. They
First
faked
and
a 4th
10. Feeling
down
bold
punt
once again. Right
and
side.
coughed it over at the
Incomplete.
25
Third
line.
down
South
midfield.
Australia went
First
4
fourth
and
and
out
90
passing.
yards.
This is the second series of the game. The Vicks have a first down.
We thought that
3rd
last
yards
time
today.
looked like game
That punt officially 24 yards. South Australia for the first time down conversions. They'll roll their own territory.
the
It's
head,
all been from long
incomplete.
distance.
What is it?
It's 100 yards. Trying to establish the run.
Run number 13. Breaking out the 50. Just a little bit. Breaking out the 50.
Across the middle, broken up by Jaden Kasbara. They
First and 10. Feeling bold once again. Right side.
coughed it over at the 25
And
line.
first fourth and 90 yards.
South Australia series of the game. That punt officially 24 yards. South Australia for the first time down conversions. They'll roll their own territory.
The
It's
head
all been from long
incomplete.
distance.
Time to Cabo.
It's 100 yards.
Right near the line again, as we are looking at it here. Breaking out the 50. Just a little bit. Breaking out the 50.
Across the middle, broken up by Jaden Kasbara. They
First and 10.
feeling
Feeling bold once again. There it is.
coughed it over at
First
the
down.
25 line.
First team. 90 yards. First down. Drop. South Australia with the ball at about the 47-yard line. Overloading the left side. Hand off up the middle. They'll run it to the left, but wrapped up in the backfield. Maybe a yard, but not a lot of running room there as Victoria rallying to the ball.
Germano almost lost the footing, but managed to not go down. Of course, actually, change that. Jeffrey Hayden, ball carrier, kept his footing just and got the yard. 2nd down and 9.
Once again, 3 receivers to the left, 1 on the right, 1 attached to the left, motioning out to an empty set. Looking for a quick throw and complete to Kaba. Bobbles and picked off. Victoria with the first turnover of the game. Oh, that's an interesting call. I believe we'll have to call it an interception, but, well, we'll call it a fumble. I believe that Tukaba would have made a football move at that point, so. But just in the hands, had the first down, but popped out in the jostling, was unable to really secure it, and that ball fell into the hands of the Victorian defender, Dakota Alcarachi. And
So,
Victoria
first-
taking back over.
First turnover of the game. The Eagles knocking on South Australian territory. 1st and 10 from the Victorian 47-yard line. Line up with 3 receivers on the near side.
By far best field position of the day for the Eagles.
In each possession, they're starting to move closer and closer. We've got a timeout called number 2 to the Eagles.
So once again,
You get 3 each half.
and Victoria is going to make sure they use each and every one.
Can't take him home.
Oh, that's certainly true. And you do often see teams going into the half not having used a single one. Victoria, handoff up the middle, and once again met in the backfield. The run defense has been stout from the Sharks thus far. Neither team able to get much going on the ground. Apart from the long run on the quarterback keep.
Not a lot of yardage. 9 for South Australia, 23 for Victoria, and a bit of that yardage was on the intercept or fumble.
But again, we are looking at plus field position territory, so it would be interesting if Victoria can get even 3 yards here. It'll likely be 4 down territory. As we're looking at 2nd and 9.5. 3 receivers on the left. Back moved over to the right. 1 receiver on the right, motioning across. Dropping back to throw, looking to the left. High and picked off the hands and into the hands of the South Australian Sharks. And so trading turnovers. And that ball nestled into the hands of number 83 for the Sharks, who, of course, is left off our team sheet. So 1st and 10 for the Sharks. 2nd best field position of the day for the men in red. Seeing how they will capitalize on this turnover. The momentum really swings on a turnover, unlike most other plays.
Bit of cloud cover over Karen Rolton Oval now. As Whitehead hands off.
Bijiramana turns the corner, and nice gain on 1st down.
That's their best offensive play. Gain of 6. Will bring up 2nd and 4, and they're just the South Australian side of midfield.
Bijiramana is one of those sneaky fast players, very upright running style, but in the South Australian competition, he is tough to handle. Picked as an all-state player last season. 2 receivers to the right, 1 attached and 1 on the left. Little bit of a bubble screen set up, but incomplete. Passing game just not connecting for the Sharks early on here in the first quarter. So we'll be looking at 3rd and 4 coming up. Big 3rd down, knocking on Victorian territory. And again, plus field position, you think that this might be 4 down territory.
Well, third down conversion has been an issue. Victoria 1 for 3. South Australia have only actually had the one so far, 0 for 1. This has been the shortest third down situation, and for those new to the game, third down that's the play you want to get your 10 yards by. And Whitehead will arm up. He has the receiver, has the catch. That is a first down. South Australia, Mitch Gavros
with the reception. And inside Gridiron Victoria territory, Eagles territory for the second time here today. First one after the failed fake punt by Victoria. And this one the Sharks earned after the turnover and after getting the first down. First down of the day for the Sharks. 2 receivers on the right, 1 tight end and 1 on the left. 1 in the backfield, it's Bijiramana. Snap came in very high and tight. Bijiramana had some running room, but strung it out wide. Probably could have turned it up a little bit earlier, but dropped after a gain of about 2 or 3, 2.5.
Interesting position of the ball. You can see on the stream in here, of course, the grass goes from green to a tinge of brown. That's an off-season cricket pitch. Start of the year, this was actually the hub of Sheffield Shield action in the cricket during the COVID pandemic. All the Sheffield Shield games were played here. Footy during the winter, Aussie rules version, and today, gridiron time.
2 and the up back on the right, 1 on the left. They'll motion to an empty set. Bijiramana out of the backfield. Whitehead has time, lots of time. Finally has to roll out. Looks downfield, dumps it short, has a man, and complete out to the 36-yard line. Ben Martin with the reception. Mr. Reliable for the Spartans. Comes up, and once again, we're looking at third and manageable for the Sharks. Offense is finally starting to get clicking on both sides after a little bit of a shaky start.
Don't want to really speak in the being, but so far Whitehead looks pretty comfortable in the shotgun. He's getting off a lot of quick passes. That time he had time to roll out, find the open man as it's 3rd and 2. They'll try and run the first down, and they're bang on the line. This will come down to the spot.
It looks like they've spotted him a little bit short on the far side. So we'll be looking at 4th down and just a little. But Bijiramana is down.
And that's not a player you wanted to. He is an absolute workhorse for the 8-time defending champion Adelaide University Hogs.
And just to clarify for those watching Interstate, that's 8 in a row.
Yeah.
Not 8 overall. They are the winning
27
list.
in overall.
Yes, they're winningest in Australia by a large margin. And that's all of Australia with the most state competition championships.
And so that's the maroon helmets, which has a fairly good Bijiramana, hopefully. Just shaken off and will return. He's been key part of this drive. And if SA, and they would be the underdogs coming in here, are to pick up the win, he's going to play a big part in it. The 4th down decision, Nick, you have a look at the ice cream cones on the far side of the field. They're your first down markers. Stick with the number 4. That's where the ball is, and it's Al Pacino. It's inch by inch at this point.
Oh, absolutely. In traditional football, you'd see going under center and just rushing up the middle. In this kind of situation, not exactly something that the Sharks would have practiced for, as we are not playing under center in the league here.
This is not a jumbo set, is it?
Not so much. No, we are spread out. 2 receivers on the right, 1 in the up back on the left. Victoria crowding the line, fakes the handoff, dumps it short. Dukaba has the first down. Ball comes loose once again. And that is 2 big plays that have come out of the hands of Dukaba. And Victoria gets their second turnover of the day and manages to keep the score 0-all heading towards the end of the first quarter.
So that's 2 turnovers to 1, 2 fumbles after reception to 1 interception. One of the weather elements of today is a breeze of about 20-22 kilometres an hour, favouring the end South Australia is going to for the moment. Quarter time shouldn't be too far away as Victoria get the ball for the 4th time today.
Breeze in the forecast again. South Australia loading up on that box. Quarterback keep and into the secondary. Big run here, and this one will be cut up inside and into South Australian territory. Victoria, the Eagles, 2 big runs. 44 yards on the carry there.
Well, that one play has just eclipsed Victoria's total offence. And that is the play of the day offensively.
Absolutely.
So far.
And again, that momentum change on the turnover just fires things up. You're hanging your heads down defensively. Just, I can't believe I wasn't ready. I was still drinking. I was just not prepared to go out on the field. And here we go. But 2 spread either side for Victoria here. Dropping back to throw. Lots of time. Has the catch. Number 15. Battistella Jr. on the reception. And another first down, consecutive first downs as Victoria starting to get rolling on offense and into the red zone for the first possession of either side here today.
That's the 3rd first down for Victoria.
And second on the possession. Ball at about the 16-yard line. 17 we'll call it. And that will be the end of the first quarter, so 0-0 at the moment, but big turnovers making big differences in the momentum. Victoria getting one deep in South Australian as we are going into the quarter. Still 0-0, but Victoria knocking on the door.
It's was clear blue skies when we started. A bit of cloud cover. Just checking the rain radar. No rain as part of the clouds. And now Victoria will have the aid of the breeze at their backs. It's an interesting thing because any breeze plays havoc with your passing game.
It's definitely true.
And I often think sometimes if you throw into the breeze,
we do have a little
can
bit
set
of a
up
wind
nicely.
break from the Royal Adelaide, which is right across from us there. So
Yes. If
a
any
little bit of
player-
a wind break, but it does come in and swoop down over. So how much you actually feel on the field is, again, one of those swirling situations where it just kind of loops on in.
But I got to admit, as in terms of conditions, the field, even the cricket pitch area, it doesn't look too bad, but the actual grassed area looks absolutely immaculate.
Oh, absolutely.
Field's been beautifully marked out. Credit to the Gridiron SA crew for setting up the field today. With a picturesque backdrop of the Adelaide skyline. Start of the second quarter. We are yet to see a score, but Victoria in the red zone for the first time this morning.
Victoria varying the formation a little bit, stacking receivers to the right, 2 receivers on the left, maybe setting up a screen down there to the right, or just trying to get a clean release for the receiver in the back. One in the backfield, handoff up the middle, and breaking free into the secondary and down to about the 6-yard line, down inside the 10, and once again 11 yards. So first and goal coming up. The Eagles finally starting to click, and it's the ground game that's getting them going in a big way.
It is like the Eagles searching in the equipment shed, found the switch and flicked on their offense.
And you knew it was coming. Just there's too much talent on the Victorian end to be kept deep. 1 safety in the end zone. Everyone else is up on the line, motioning across. Handoff up the middle and into the wall of bodies, being shoved into the end zone. And there is the icebreaker, breaking the deadlock, and Gridiron Victoria, the Eagles, taking the lead 6-0 with the extra point yet to come.
Ben Curley on the touchdown, and be a few offensive linemen looking for a score assist on that one.
Oh, absolutely. And that is just the will that we are not going to let this opportunity go to waste.
That was a mightily impressive drive. That was 58 yards in about 6 plays, and what had been a defensive slog. So when you score the touchdown, you can kick it through the posts for 1, try a run or pass for 2, and that's what the Eagles are trying here.
Throwing into the end zone, incomplete, unmolested is Battistella. For the 2-point conversion, Battistella once again picking it up, has both of the big grabs through the air for Victoria. That one putting 2 points on the board, 8-0 to the Eagles. And this time, for the first time today, South Australia will receive the kickoff, and for the first time today, South Australia is trailing. So big momentum shift off of the turnover, out of the hands of Tukaba into the hands of the Eagles.
All right. We have a score. Tends to open up the game a little bit.
Absolutely, and now we'll see how aggressive South Australia is going to be now trailing. They've been able to play pretty tight, and the offense has been getting going, but the pressure is on now that Victoria has scored to get an answer here. They don't necessarily need a score, but momentum-wise, a first down will make a huge difference. Whiten taking the ball on the fly, getting it out to the 30 before going into a wall of bodies and being dropped at the 34-yard line.
On the kick was number 25 for the Eagles, Robert Bettles. Now, I think I worked out one of our number issues with our quarterback for Victoria. We'll check that when he comes back out again. Right now, South Australia, let's see if they change anything off. I mean, they were having a great offensive series until the fumble. Just 3 yards here, 4 yards there, first down.
They were able to get the running game going. And we'll see how that goes without Bajiramana in the backfield. First and 10, 2 safeties back deep, but dropped in the backfield. Immediate penetration, and that is a big difference. Lincoln Meyer making the stop well in the backfield. First big negative play of the day, and that is going to set South Australia up with a lot of work to do with about 2nd and 16 coming up. And once again, the momentum shift off the turnover. Now Victoria's defense starting to feel it. That's the first time that they've really gotten into the backfield since about the first possession. Motioning out to either side, empty backfield now. Whitehead throws off the hands, incomplete. Was looking for Mitch Olive, but unable to bring it in. 3rd and very long for the Sharks. And this is going to be a big play here. Sharks do not want to go 3 and out when Victoria is starting to feel it offensively. But they have dug themselves a little bit of a hole here on 3rd and 16. Once again, 2 deep for the Eagles.
South Australia 2 from 4 on 3rd downs. This is the longest of the day. They'll have 3 receivers on the city side of the field. 1 runner out back, and who heads to the near side. Whitehead goes back in the shotgun. Again has some time to find a whole lot of navy blue. And in the end, Sharks lucky that wasn't intercepted.
Was looking for Olive, but flagged down in the backfield. And this one in the holding area, we would expect. Yes, indeed. So that one will likely be declined.
Just the one officially accepted penalty thus far for 5 yards.
Yes. Victoria is emphatically going up there and saying, no, we're declining that. Make them punt it. We want the ball right now. So, yes, indeed. First. And once again, we'll see the difference in the punting formations. Just one in the backfield
South Australia's first punt.
with Whitehead. Whitehead's first action as a punter here today. Bounces and out of bounds at about the 47-yard line, so no return. 25 yards, but not allowing any return on that. Kicking into the wind. And the wind just kind of blew that one out of bounds on the bounce.
Yes, had to keep it low into what's becoming a stronger breeze. Starting to really gust up now. Don't have to tell anybody here at the Karen Rolton Oval that, for those
No.
watching on the stream.
Especially not on the upper deck. But Victoria with all the momentum, all the feeling. Two receivers either side. Starting to feel it now. Shark showing pressure up the middle, and they bring it. Dumping off short. Once again, Battistella on the reception. He has been the do-everything through the air.
New quarterback for Victoria, at least on that play.
I think it is James Avia. James Avia into the game at quarterback for the Eagles. Two receivers either side. Bunched up a little bit on the right, spread out a little bit more on the left. One in the backfield. South Australia crowding the line once again, motioning across. This time, hand off straight, off tackle, and into the secondary. Dropped by the last man. Benjamin is able to stop the touchdown. A touchdown saving tackle, but 36 yards to the good for the Eagles. And just about to break this game open and extend their lead to a two-score, tackled at the very last moment by Benjamin. But first and goal coming up for Victoria.
So the Eagles 136 rushing yards on 22 plays. They've broken one of 44 and 36. First and goal. For those new to the game, it means 4 plays to cross the goal line, which is just 5 yards away. Even spread of receivers, 2 across the field. Quarterback says, "I'll take that," and is held up
Dropped
2
at about
yards
the
short.
3-yard line. He is James Avia. So we'll be looking at second down. And Avia swapping back out. So again, switch of quarterbacks for Victoria. Getting the bodies rotating and making use of that deep talent pool once again. Avia remains in the game, actually. One in the backfield, 2 receivers either side. Wasn't ready for the snap, out of the hands of Avia, and they'll take a loss on that one. Punching into the backfield immediately was Matthew Martin. And now we're looking at an interesting one. 3rd and 11, 3rd and goal from the 11, I should say. Now they'll mark it at about the 12, depending on the spot.
What will be interesting is if they don't get it, do they have a kicker?
Oh, well,
Does South Australia have a kicker?
not one that I saw on the roster.
Does anybody in Australian Gridiron have a kicker these days?
Well, you would have thought that with as much kicking as goes on in Australia in other sports, that you would not be deficient of kickers. But
Yep.
we are certainly not deficient of punters.
That's
but
true.
Kickers is a whole other art. 2 receivers either side. Avia once again in the backfield. Ready for the snap this time. Has time, throws it out. Complete and dropped just shy of the line to gain. Jack Pritchard on the snap. So 4th and goal from about the 2-yard line. Big opportunity for South Australia. Avia lined up rather tight. More of a pistol formation. He'll keep it himself. Goes off and bulldozes into the end zone and has the touchdown. 14-0, extending the Victorian lead. Big body just bruising into the end zone. Shades of Tebow or Newton just bouncing off tackle there and refusing. Even after the first effort was stymied to go down, he kept his feet and fell forward into the end zone for the exclamation point. 14-0 is the score, with the 2-point conversion yet to come.
Again, 4 receivers evenly spread across Karen Rolton Oval. Going to try and do it by the air as they did before. In the air and incomplete. And it will remain a 14-0 scoreline as we head towards the middle stages of the second quarter. The Victorian Eagles starting to take control of this contest.
So that 2-point conversion was a big one for the Sharks to get the stop. Finally getting a little bit of a break their way.
They've had 2 big drives in succession, 62 yards, 52 yards, a couple of big running plays setting those up. And as expected, around the goal line, they're going to have that little bit of extra strength and are able to punch it in.
So, big possession here for the Sharks.
Did have a question on the feed, and g'day to all those, mainly Victorian fans on the feed with the comments. We'll try and interact through the day. When is the junior game starting? Well,
12:30.
The kids are here, 12:30 Adelaide, 1 o'clock Victoria.
Kick is up, it is high, it is short. Will be dropping right behind the upbacks in the hands of Whiten at about the 20. Whiten out to the 30, bounces off to the 40, and gets out to the 42. Whoa, a little bit at the end, there are the flags. So there are the likely negation of a tremendous run back by Whiten, as that is likely going to cost the Sharks 15 yards. Again, once the whistle blows, it's over. Live to play another day, but not sticking to that directive here, as we had a little bit of an extracurricular there. Very easy to see from our perspective up in the bench here. And so that will be 15 yards towards the, well, depending on which direction the referees point, it's going to be a 15-yarder, but we'll find out which direction point out. Generally, it is the last person who makes the effort who gets called, so expecting that this is going to go against the Sharks. But Victoria lined up.
So it is quite surprising given how these are 2 teams that haven't played together before and all the complications it is to play this game, that we haven't seen a lot of penalties. And sportsmanlike conduct against the Eagles, and unsportsmanlike conduct against the Sharks.
So we'll have offsetting unsportsmanlikes, but first unsportsmanlike conduct for each of the players involved, which means that the second will end their day. So that is a big one. They'll mark this one at about the 41-yard line, so no harm yardage-wise, but will go in the playbooks and could lead to disqualifications later in the game.
So, state the bleeding obvious, but important for South Australia to have a little bit of time with the ball, put a drive together. 1st and 10 from the 41-yard line.
The important thing is just to get a first down. So 2 receivers to the right, 1 on the left, and the upback through the hands, but managed to wrangle it in. Out of a gain of 5. Clock will continue to roll as Pele de Francesca wrangles that one in for about a gain of 4. Out to the 45. So again, getting a first down, just keeping the offense on the field, giving the defense a chance to catch their breath, get some coaching, and really start to settle back in as Victoria is starting to hum on offense. This is a big one. 2 receivers on the left, 1 in the up back on the right. Throwing out to Takaba, who is stopped up and driven out at about the 49-yard line. Great concentration by Takaba. And we're looking at 3rd and manageable, 3rd and 3. And this may be, again, 4-down territory for the Sharks,
So
right near midfield.
I've got Whitehead stats, and don't forget, he started with 4 straight incomplete passes on the first series. He's now 6 from 11, 40 yards.
And 2 of those incompletions were well in the hands of his receiver, but just was not able to maintain that control. A little bit of an issue with the snap. Whitehead has to keep it himself, forces his way forward, and gets just shy of the original line of scrimmage, but averting disaster. And so now decision time for the Sharks. I think that they'll keep the offense on the field here and go for it.
Usually you do see a reasonable amount of substitution. Absolutely diddly squat. Of course, your quarterback is the punter.
So you could always plooch it, but
Can. So the option being, do you go for it on 4th down, keep the ball, or do you use this opportunity to pin Victoria as deep as they've been for a while? And they're going to go for it. 3 yards to keep the ball, or Victoria will get it at midfield.
2 on the left, 1 in the up back on the right. Motioning out to an empty set. Throwing into the hands of DeFrancesca, and has the first down out to the 44-yard line. Big, big conversion. And DeFrancesca going down there at the first contact, just wanting to make sure that the ball stays in the hands of the Sharks. No juggling.
I'm not sure what they're cooking in the cafeteria, but it sure smells good downwind. Woohoo. Something to enjoy at half time. 1st down and 10. SA in Victorian position, territory at the 44-yard line. Decide to run the ball and lose a couple of yards.
Jeffrey Hayden on the carry, flag down in the backfield. A little bit of a substitution going in on the offensive line. Dan O'Connell coming out. Nicholas Cosmy going in.
Nick's actually a commentator as well, banjo writer for our Adelaide Footy League coverage, known as the News Hound, with a microphone in his hand.
Oh, very interesting.
With his size, who's going to argue with him?
Ooh, face mask. So a stop in the backfield ends up being a 15-yard bonus to the Sharks as they go deeper into Victorian territory. 3rd time of the day that the Sharks have been inside Victorian territory. Coming up empty, both possessions previous, but this time momentum may be changing.
With the penalties declined and offsetting, I've only got 2 for the game, both against Victoria thus far.
No, we did have the holding that was declined. You're quite all right. So again, the accepted penalties have been on Victoria. 1st and 10 at about the 31-yard line. 1 in the up back to the left, motioning out to an empty set. 3 on the right. Whitehead looking left. Whitehead rolling right. Dumping, short and off the hands, incomplete. And that throw was all designed to go left. Whitehead ended up having to bail to his right, and so the receiver on that side just not able to get his concentration up and bring that one in. Incomplete, 2nd and 10.
Justice Kantaka. It's a great name for a football player. Justice. You'd know they got to play on defense to deliver some.
Oh, absolutely. So 2nd and 10. 4-down territory all the way here for the Sharks. 1 in the up back on the left, 2 on the right. 1 in the pistol, but will motion out. So 3 on the right. Again, throwing over the middle of the field into the hands of Takaba. Takaba makes the catch inside the 10-yard line. So 1st and goal coming up. Big play for South Australia, 22 yards, longest of the day. 1st and goal. So South Australia finally knocking on the door. Need something out of this.
And 4 plays, 8 yards, get on the scoreboard.
Throwing incomplete. Was under immediate pressure there was Whitehead, but
Probably one of the first times, Nick, that he's actually had to really hurry up that throw, and that was Lincoln Meyer, number 90, who I think is from the Western Crusaders. Been a while since I've studied my Victorian helmets, but I think that was a Crusaders player.
Meyer was the one who made that big tackle for a loss there as well. So 2nd time of the day he's really impacted that backfield. That time forcing an early throw from Whitehead, incomplete. 2nd and goal coming up. 4 down territory all the way here for the Sharks. One in the up back on the left. Receiver on the left is spread out very, very wide. 2 on the right. 1 in the backfield. Whitehead looking right. Whitehead into the end zone, well over the head of Tukaba, incomplete. Tukaba is one of those big bodies that you can just kind of loft it up and hope that he can box out and kind of, in basketball terms, go up and get the rebound for it, but that one was just over his head, not able to be brought in. So 3rd and goal coming up for South Australia.
Yeah, this is the problem with the goal line plays, is that you don't have a lot of real estate to throw into. Space is at an absolute premium. We have a timeout called to Victoria, and that is their 3rd and final. But it's a big play, and you'd understand why you do it.
Absolutely.
So what it does do is it gives South Australia time to think about it as well. And officially that's their 2nd. Okie dokie. One of the earlier ones, maybe, not some sort of unofficial umpire's timeout.
Official timeout, we'll call it.
Okay.
But yes, I was counting 3 timeouts as well, but now both these teams going to have a chat about this crucial 3rd down. Again, it'll be 4 down territory, so South Australia doesn't need it all. But at the same time,
I mean,
Phil, what are you thinking here? 2 shots at the end zone or 5 on 1 and setting up a shorter 4th down?
no, I think you go with what you do best, and that's passing the ball, and you take 2 shots. The your games are won or lost by what you do in the red zone. Victoria have been inside the 20 twice for 2 touchdowns and 1 2-point conversion. South Australia got to the 25 and came away empty. Didn't get a yard. This is a big couple of plays in the context of the match.
3 receivers on the left. That's the wide side. 1 attaches the up back. Looking to the right. Has a man and has it. Again, just short. But that is, looks like they were going for the conservative play there. So makes the reception. And 4th and goal, very, very close. So, ball on the 4-yard line. Got about half. 4 to go to chop this lead in half. Motioning out, empty set. Whitehead rolls to his right. Whitehead looking, dumping, in and out of the hands, incomplete. And whether or not that's an interception will be a big one. If it's an interception in the end zone, it'll be Victoria ball at the 20. If it's just an incompletion, and so interception again, 3rd of the day off the hands of a Shark into the hands of Victoria. And the Eagles, with the interception in the end zone, will get the ball at the 20 instead of buried deep at the 4. So,
And that is
big break for the Eagles.
that's huge. Because even if it's 4th and goal and you don't get it, usually you place the offense on the goal line under immense pressure. You throw the intercept out to the 20, you've got some room if you're the Victorian offense. 2-minute warning just given by our head referee, Gordon Tuff. And, that's huge. Victoria have come up big. 2 great offensive drives, a defense that gave a bit, and then really solidified on that goal line.
And that's really what we've been seeing from Victoria all day on defense. They've been playing the 2 safeties back, just keeping everything in front, not giving up the big play, making South Australia execute down the field. Meanwhile, South Australia playing a little bit riskier, keeping more men in the box, 1 safety back deep. So, again, risk reward, Victoria playing the conservative, South Australia trying to capitalize and shut down the run. South Australia showing pressure. Has time. Fakes, looking downfield, has a man way down deep. Oh, and incomplete. Unable to hook up with Andre Gowd. Gowd was all alone and would have been able to have all kinds of theatrics as he ran into the end zone there. But
that was the knockout punch, and SA just dodged a big bullet there.
Absolutely. That likely would have been the end of the competitive series of the game there, giving it up at about the 2-minute warning. That would have been a huge hole.
Do you want to mention they've gone back to original quarterback, and we've had confirmation on the feed. It's Matthew Krul, down as number 12 for us, playing number 17 on the field.
Krul has to think about it, throws it up. Chance ball for picked off down the sideline goes Benjamin. Benjamin rocked at the 30. But Benjamin pulling off one of those plays that you would see on the highlight reel. Submit that one to all of your local sports stations for play of the day, because that was an amazing one-handed interception, turning around, spinning by Benjamin. And all of a sudden, once again, South Australia has life with less than 2 minutes left to play.
Well, this is probably the biggest football game in the universe being played right now, because it's off-season in the States.
Off-season in the States.
And that is the play of the day thus far from
Japanese
an SA
league
perspective.
is not in session.
Not at this time of the day, anyway. Under Benjamin, we have the joy of calling Gridiron SA games, and he, when he gets the ball, something exciting quite often happens.
Absolute electricity from Benjamin. In Australian outback selection multiple times. Motioning out to an empty set. Whitehead looks left, throws, incomplete. Little bit of a hand fighting there, but over the head, incomplete. Well, the rule that uncatchable, so flags will stay in the pockets, and we'll be looking at 2nd down. But clock will stop, and that's important. South Australia has plenty of time, has their timeouts, all 3 of them. But a chance to put points on the board before the half is absolutely priceless for the Sharks here. Looks like Bajir Mane is back in the game at running back once again. Great to see him back. Had to leave to injury. 1 in the up back to the left, 2 receivers to the right. Throwing short, complete. Gain of about 2. Clock will roll. Martin with the reception. 3rd and 9 coming up. Once again, this will be 4-down territory for the Sharks, looking to capitalize before the half. If they could cut this lead in half, tremendous confidence boost for the Sharks, particularly as they will receive the second half kickoff.
They will. 3rd down and 9 at the 32-yard line. Now spread out with 2 receivers. Bunjamana in motion. Throw across the middle. Open play. Had to bobble the catch, but had enough space. And again, the ball pops out, but after he was down. That's Ben Martin with the catch. And Whitehead just found an open hole right in the middle of the field, right on the 1st down marker, and I think they'll be moving the chains once everybody gets up.
Well, we're seeing a lot of pointing in different directions, so each of the players thinks that they
Everybody
have
wants to be
possessions
a
of-
referee.
Well, until it's actually time for referee sign-ups, you know.
Until what you have to do, of course. Victoria clapping.
And
Umpires
this
are
would
conferring.
be a big one.
And the offense is coming on for Victoria. Maybe just
But the
cool the
offense
Jets for a
staying
brief
on
sec.
for South Australia, so
This
both
would-
teams optimistic.
This would be horrific for South Australia to lose. This would be the third time they've got a first down and lost it on a receiver fumbling the ball.
And one of them, that would have been a touchdown. On that 4th and goal.
Fourth,
that
well,
was
that's a fourth
intercepted.
one. That's an intercept one, yeah.
Yes, indeed. Each time these interceptions have come out of the hands of South Australian receivers.
And
And
it's
there's the
ruled.
call, Victoria.
Ball spilled
With
free before
possession.
down, and it's Eagles football. Wowee.
So now Victoria has a chance to, once again, push this one well into their favor. Already 2 scores to the advantage. Lower on timeouts than South Australia and without the field position, so. But just on that last possession, they had it. Just out of reach of their receiver. So the opportunity is there.
If you're Victoria and you've got a killer instinct, you'd want to go for a knockout punch right here because SA's offense got to be feeling pretty miserable right now. 1st and 10. And again, they've swapped the quarterbacks over. This is, well, it used to be the Nunawading Warriors. I think it's the Monash Warriors these days.
Avia drops back, throws well over the head, incomplete. Was looking for Ben Curley. But nothing going there.
Stops the
2nd
clock.
and 10. Yes, once again, clock will stop on the incompletion. Which means that we will have time for Victoria here.
Junior game about 2 hours from now. We'll have the kickoff and we'll bring you that live streamed as well. Thanks to the team, Sam and the 180 Creations crew. Never knew Sam had such a crew as large as what we've got today. Usually he's a one-man operation at the local games.
So 3 receivers on the right, 1 on the left. 1 in the backfield with Avia. Avia handles the snap. Avia has to keep it himself, pumps and slides down. Gain of about 2. Clock will roll. Victoria calling their 4th timeout.
Well, we did wonder if Victoria would use their 3rd timeout. Obviously, they haven't given up on doing something on this drive.
4th and final timeout for Victoria. So 3rd and 8. Victoria using the timeout to stay aggressive. They want something out of this drive. Want to really put this one in hand. 14-0. 2 receivers either side. They had that big shot to the left. Motioning across, 3 receivers on the right. Throwing over the middle and almost into the hands of Benjamin once again. Incomplete. 4th down and Victoria. That will be.
That is the half.
Absolutely.
As the Adelaide Trams roll on by here at the picturesque Karen Rolton Oval. I hope you enjoyed that, folks. Great to see Interstate Gridiron back. And kudos to both teams on a hard-fought first half. But a couple of strong offensive drives by the Victoria Eagles at the start of the 2nd quarter. And some stout defence late have proved the difference. They'll take a 14-0 lead into the half. We do have some bar and canteen facilities available down below. Please make use of those. Usually half time's about 15 minutes. And we'll be back with the second half.
South Australia will receive the kickoff for the second half, so make sure you stay tuned. Plenty of football left to be played as we will determine the border battle between the South Australia Sharks and the Gridiron Victoria Eagles. Stay with us.
Check. Check, check, check. Check, check.
Check, check. South Australia deferred their option and they've chosen to take in the ball. Victoria will defend and kick from the northern end.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second half of the border battle between South Australia and Gridiron Victoria. Coming up live, and we are looking at Victorian Eagles looking to kick to the Sharks. The Eagles leading 14-0. Sharks looking to answer. Momentum has swung dramatically with the turnovers that we've been facing from both sides thus far, but the costlier ones have come from the Sharks, and that has been the difference in the game thus far. This is Nicholas Priest, joined by Phil Hurden, as we are looking at the second half of this state competition. Phil, what did you think of the first half?
Well, in the end, it was the turnovers that were the Achilles heel for South Australia. Victoria able to get up a couple of big runs. They converted their opportunities. South Australia didn't, and that's the 14-point difference.
This one will
Benjamin.
roll at the one. Benjamin will still field it. Little bit of a shake and bake, and gets out to about the 20-yard line. So functionally the same as taking a knee, but still a little bit of electricity there from Benjamin.
But we would have missed the shake and bake.
Oh, well, we can't miss the shake and bake. Benjamin, that one, like, worst starting field position of the day for the Sharks, as they have had tremendous returns. That one a tremendous return, but had a lot of work to do. We'll see if the Sharks can capitalize on the momentum that they were building towards the end of the first half. See if they can get anything rolling on the ground. Maybe run behind big number 67, Dylan Terrell, my personal hero. Two receivers on the right, one in the up back on the left. Whitehead. Bajirmana in the backfield. Hand off Bajirmana. Bajirmana bounces. Maintains that first tackle. Bounces behind Dylan Tyrrell. Gain of 2. No, make it 3.
We did predict pre-game that SA would throw a lot and Victoria would run a lot, and that's how the two teams have pretty much got their yardage today. South Australia's longest run of the first half was 6 yards, and Victoria's longest pass was about 16.
So one on the up back on the left. Ball on the ground, and Whitehead manages to corral it. Fights his way out, but maybe should have just let that one die. Sacked back at the 10-yard line. First sack of the day for either squad.
Gotta
The
love
Eagles.
the fighting spirit, but sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
At least, and the key thing was he went back and got the football. That could have been a calamity, a turnover inside your own red zone. Not to be, it's just 3rd and 20.
Again, long down and distances have not been the friend of the Sharks thus far here today.
Throwing into the breeze, which stiffened in the second quarter and half time, but has died off a bit now.
Two in the up back, or two receivers on the right, one in the up back on the left. Hand off Bajirmana, keeping it conservative. Bajirmana almost lost his grip there. 2nd and 14. Victoria getting grabby on the ball. Nothing illegal there, but managing to hold on, and South Australia will have to punt into the breeze.
Almost conceded the drive rather than risk the long pass and possible interception. So Victoria keep the momentum defensively, aiming for the shutout. And they have a really good chance here to start offensively in Sharks territory,
And
especially with that snap and safety.
That one will be a safety. Again, issues with the snap for South Australia, and that one out the back of the end zone. So 2 points to Victoria.
Probably a good time
Well,
to tell the story. The first ever interstate game, South Australia-Victoria, was at Princes Park in Melbourne as a curtain raiser to BYU and Colorado State in the Melbourne Bowl.
Yes, indeed.
And SA was leading until the punt snapper got involved in an altercation and was ejected in the third quarter. The next two long snaps to the punter went badly awry. Victoria recovered, took the lead, won the game. And have been winning most of them ever since.
Well, this one now will see South Australia kick from the 20. If you're not familiar with the safety, it means 2 points to the team that caused the safety. In this case, it'll be the Victorian Eagles. And they get possession after South Australia kicks from the 20. Olive advancing and kicking. Plooch is off the hand of one of the Victorian players, fielded at about the 35. Will be excellent field position for Victoria, fighting his way towards midfield.
And that's probably not a bad spot,
He is number 13.
except you've just given up 2 points in the process to keep it at midfield. 16-point margin, which means if South Australia are to win, they will need to score on at least 3 occasions.
So 2 touchdowns, 2 2-point conversions will just knot it up. Sharks need the defense to stand tall here. We're able to get a turnover on the possession before last, before
Didn't
forcing the 3 and
see a
out.
lot of the Victorian offense late in the second quarter. A couple of intercept pass at the last play of the half.
Motioning across. Quarterback keep is Kroll. Kroll into the secondary and dropped just shy of the line to gain. Gain of about 9 on that carry. Motioning across. Faking the handoff one way, quarterback keep the other way with the running back, the original running back, as the lead blocker. Nice play design there by Victoria, because that little bit of motion really captures the attention of the defense and really draws all 22 eyes to the motion man, and running counter to that tends to pay off in a big way. So 9 yards to the good for the Eagles. 2nd and 1. Sharks crowding the line, just one back, deep, plenty of time. No, drop, no, forced his way out, dumping deep, and almost picked off. 2 big opportunities there.
Yeah.
Matthew Martin bringing the pressure, and then off the hands of Jaden Kasbara, who almost had the interception. So almost a sack, almost an interception. Instead, Victoria lives to fight on for 3rd and 1.
As was that interception in that part of the field with not too many defenders, sudden defenders between yourself and the goal line. That could have been anything.
Absolutely.
Instead, it's 3rd and 1.
So short. Motioning across. A little bit of an issue with the snap, but the timing is not going to deter this play, as bouncing off the big body. Number 31,
And that was a
Tyrrell Sharp.
That was a heck of a hit initially by Andre Benjamin. This was the vision of how I thought the game might be, of Victoria running over the SA defence. Benjamin held his own there, made the tackle, conceded nothing. However, by the time the tackle was made, 1st down gained, and the Eagles are rolling in South Australian territory.
When you're talking about players with football IQ for the South Australian side, you would be hard-pressed to find one who would be acing the exam any higher than Benjamin in terms of experience and leverage. He is a born and raised football player, gridiron player. 2 receivers either side, 1 in the backfield, motioning across. And quarterback keep straight up. Andy Stevens failing to make the tackle, turning the corner and getting the 1st down. Another big run for Victoria. And this one is starting to roll as Victoria leaning on the running game. South Australia unable to keep contain, and big 1st down deep into South Australian territory.
We talked about Victoria throwing in the knockout punch late in the second quarter, a long pass Couldn't quite do it. Safety's not quite the knockout punch. That was more like one that might wind you for a couple of seconds. This, if they score here, will be all she wrote, you would think. Don't see too many comebacks at this level once the score margin gets into the 20s. 1st and 10 in the red zone for the Eagles.
2 receivers either side. 1 in the backfield for Victoria. Under pressure once again, Barron. This time finally getting a little bit of pressure. Barron and Tom Rose combining to both pressure and then hit the quarterback after that one, so letting him know that they're there. Haven't seen a lot of pressure from South Australia thus far, but that time 2 of the front 4 bringing in, so 2nd and 10 from about the 16-yard line. Victoria making most of their gains on the ground thus far. 2 receivers either side. 1 in the backfield. Faking left, throwing right, and Benjamin almost wrangled his 2nd one-handed pick. Pump fake to the left, throwing right, but that one hung up in the air for a long time. And hanging one up in the air for a long time is not a recipe for success when Benjamin is back there.
That was almost the easier of the 2.
Oh, well.
Would have been 2 spectacular catches.
And again, throwing a pick out wide like that, there's a lot of green in front of a player like Benjamin.
A couple of big plays here for the South Australian defence to hold steady. Try and keep their team within range. 3rd and goal. No, 3rd and 10, sorry.
Rolling to the right, keeping eyes downfield, throwing right, and little bit of a slip, possible miscommunication as working back was Battistella. Battistella has done most of the damage through the air for the Victorians here today. But now we're looking at 4th down. Not sure if Victoria brought a field goal kicker on here. That would make it a 3-score game. Instead, they'll likely keep the offense on.
As you mentioned, it's not just having the kicker, it's amongst all the other things you have to practice as a state team. How often do you practice your extra point field goals? From there, with the wind at your back, it would be 34 yards you'd think would be gettable, but 4th and 10, better odds at Australian Gridiron.
Absolutely. 3 receivers on the right, 1 on the left. Right is the wide side, and right has been where Victoria has been looking to throw on this drive. Once again, rolling out to the right, coming back to the left, under pressure, and this time they will wrap him up. And the first sack of the day for South Australia could not have come at a better time. Jonathan Barrand will give him credit for that one, but it was a team effort, mobs of bodies. Nice coverage, and finally able to make the stop, and once again, still 16-0, still a 2-score game.
They've been a few and far between in recent times, but that's a win for the Sharks to hold them. And now back to the offense to see if they can, well, first thing is get on the scoreboard and then see if they can make a game of it late. Again, 4 receivers spread across the field, 1 runner out back. White is in the shotgun. They're at the 24-yard line. Oh, my goodness! Freight train! Lincoln Meyer delivers the justice.
Dylan
Hit of the day.
Capaldi met immediately, but held on to that one. But once again, on consecutive drives, South Australia looking at 2nd and long. So 2nd and 15 coming up here. Capaldi had no chance as he was met with a greeting to his upper chest immediately. 2 in the up back on the left. Whitehead will throw that way. Sets up the little screen on the out and has a running lane. Does Ben Martin. Gets out to about the 30-yard line. So nice big gain, and really the momentum that South Australia needs to finally get some positive coming in this second half. So 3rd and 4 coming up.
Would have been a first down play in normal circumstances, but gets them back into this drive. Just the 4 yards needed at the 30-yard line. And just, press the recording. 4 receivers spread across the field, 1 runner out the back. Whitehead again. Assesses
Whitehead
under
under pressure.
pressure, avoids the first rush. And the second. And eventually I think he found of something red and threw it in front of him. Can't
Intended
get called
for
for intentional
Mitchell,
grounding
but
then.
as
4th
much as
down.
it was intended for anyone. So South Australia will bring on the punt team, but we may have an injured Eagle. That would be number 7, Utamapu Victor Utamapu. A little bit hobbled. Utamapu being looked at and being escorted off the field. Now he's able to be off under his own power, but definitely a little bit hobbled. Hopefully we'll be able to see him back on the next possession. Nothing too serious there. Again, this is far from a professional league, so players playing for the love of the game. So even more devastating to see injuries in these sorts of circumstances.
And sometimes you feel it gets farther and farther away. But we're playing at a beautiful facility today. Living the dream, representative football. 4th and 3, Sharks punting. Whitehead back as that dual threat. It's going to be Victor Tumapu back to receive.
Beautiful
No,
punt by
correction.
Whitehead, fielded at the 31.
Cody Austin, number 2, has himself a passenger in Abdul Jalil and keeps the return to a minimum. Eagles ball at the 39.
About 8 yards on the return. Austin handled it quite well, but coverage downfield was excellent. Whitehead making a big punt there. Whitehead has been having one heck of a game, even though it hasn't been showing up on the stats. You'd see like the interceptions and everything and think, oh man, this has been not his game, but this has not been Whitehead's fault for the balls ending up in the hands of the Victorian players. So, Brad Vigera, the lone safety, as the Victorians swap quarterbacks once again. James Avia dropping back, pumping and throwing, tipped up over the middle and into the hands of Benjamin. Interception. Benjamin on the return out to the 50-yard line. That one was tipped up in the air by number 51 of the Sharks and into the hands of Andre Benjamin, who comes down and corrals his second interception of the day.
He's turning out to be one of the Eagles' highest catching receivers at the moment. But of course, tip ball, looking at your most athletic players to make the distance, and Benjamin able to do that. And for those that can hear sirens in the background, don't concern yourself, it's not here. There is the state's largest hospital just across the road. First down and 10.
And up the middle,
And I'm just really glad to see that
Isaac Musalam
Musalam
seeing his first action,
having a run.
able to fight out of 2 tackles to get back to the line of scrimmage, or near enough. Loss of 1, but broke 2 tackles to lose 1 yard. And that has been kind of the luck of Isaac Musalam. They're tremendous, tremendous talent, but he does most of his work behind the line of scrimmage, it seems.
Just good
2
to see him
receivers
back
on the
playing
left.
footy after a bad knee injury a couple of years back.
Whitehead throws downfield, has Tukaba with the reception and goes down at the 22-yard line. Does Tukaba, big play, and that one will move the chains and get us set up for a South Australian possession inside Victorian territory. 27 yards on the reception. Tukaba has had some issues with the possession, but on that one, just could not have drawn it up any better. First down, South Australia. Once again, visitors to Adelaide can stay in the beautiful Royal Adelaide Hospital. Musalam, handoff up the middle. Musalam gets to the 20, picking up a couple up the middle.
So third time today that South Australia have got inside the 25. It was on the first series, courtesy of a fourth down turnover where they threw 4 incomplete passes. The second one, they got down to the goal line and on fourth down threw an intercept. Third time lucky, maybe for the Sharks.
2 receivers on the left, up back, and receiver on the right. Musalam, the lone setback. Whitehead dumps it short, quick to Takaba. Takaba doing some work after the catch this time. Picking up another 5. And really, when you're a receiver, after you've dropped it a couple of times, just confidence can become an issue. Takaba still has the confidence of the coaching staff as well as the quarterback to keep going back to him, and it has been paying off this drive. 3rd and 3 coming up, 4 down territory for the Sharks. 2 receivers on the left, 1 in the up back on the right. Musalam in the backfield with Whitehead. Whitehead drops back, has time, lofts it for Musalam. Musalam up the sideline. Musalam has a line and into the red zone, or not into the red zone, but into goal-to-go territory. Musalam. Big reception out of the backfield, big conversion, and once again, South Australia will have 4 plays to try and cut this deficit in half.
Ryan Prout, number 47, on the tackle. Reckon there's 2 hard nuts going head-to-head there, Musalam and Prout. And here we go. Sharks' best opportunity, 4 plays, 4 yards. First and goal. Whitehead, that's almost ended up in the hospital. He threw it that hard, but incomplete.
They motion Musalam out to the right, drawing eyes that way. Whitehead goes to the left, but just rockets that one in there, and that one wasn't going to be caught by anybody.
One down, 3 to go.
South Australia making use of the wide side of the field there. 3 receivers on the right. Up back to the left. Musalam runs to the left. Musalam weaves forward, down just about to the goal line, but tackled just short. So 3rd down, 2 shots at the end zone here. Musalam getting the ground game going. But will he be able to get it into the end zone? See what the staff has dialed up here.
Well, the equation is pretty simple. 2 plays to go 1 yard to get on this scoreboard. Now line up with 3 receivers on the wide side. No one on the narrow. Musalam could go anywhere from the backfield. Here he goes.
Ben Martin attached. Whitehead looks to the middle. Whitehead under pressure. Starts to roll and dropped. At about the 6-yard line, so that will be a loss. Had time, but unable to get anything going. So 4th down and goal. Big, big play here for the Sharks. 2 receivers on the left, 1 in the up back on the right. Whitehead looks left. Whitehead goes back to the right. Under pressure, steps up, throws into the middle. Touchdown, South Australia. Mitch Olive finally gets the Sharks on the board, and we are looking at a ball game here. But injury timeout as Whitehead is down.
He really fought hard to keep that play alive. and find Ollie.
He's up.
And is copping a bit of punishment for that. And with the injury timeout called, he has to come off. So
Yes,
South
indeed.
Australia
So
will-
South Australia would have to call an actual timeout in order to get him back on the field for a 2-point conversion.
And you can see on the sideline Patrick Ryan, the Hogs championship quarterback, warming up. And
Hayden Jeffrey coming in.
16-6.
Patrick Ryan also. Patrick Ryan will be the quarterback here. Number 15. So,
And I reckon South Australia may have called a timeout, which is wise, not to get Whitehead back, because I don't think Whitehead is capable of coming back just at this point, but to give Ryan a chance to just assimilate into this situation, because 10-point game, reduce it to 8, would keep the tie in the equation. So it is, championships have been won or lost on conversion attempts. It's a big
Victoria,
play coming up.
1 successful, 1 denied thus far. Their second 2-point came from the safety. South Australia, this will be their first opportunity at the bonus. 1 receiver on the left with the up back, 2 on the right. Tukaba and Martin have been the favorite targets. This time Tukaba is the target, but too high, throwing into the wind. That one just held up there, and Tukaba went up. But even if he caught it, the breeze just kind of took him out of the end zone, so incomplete. 16-6, South Australia gets on the board, but still a 2-possession game. So definite change in momentum. South Australia's got to be feeling good, but a lot of that feeling will depend on the health of number 17, the man in the gold helmet. But
We'll see how much of a momentum we've. So if you recently joined us with awards, I reckon that might be 3/4 time as well. Teams changing over. Back in the day, would have put the YMCA on, but streaming copyright laws, darn them.
But now this one will live on in YouTube posterity, so can't have that. Can't let our friend Sam Furler from 180 Creations be demonetized.
Get a black mark against his name. Used to be the tradition.
Olive,
Fair time.
after scoring a touchdown, will kick it
We'll
off.
Kick it off.
It's the only man allowed to touch the ball at this point, number 8.
Well, it started with the Sharks defense holding Victoria when they got to 1st and goal, and their offense putting together their best drive of the day and converting it. So they're back in it, but have still got a fair road to catch up. So we hit the final quarter. Good long kick. We'll
Into
lob
the
the one.
hands of
Eagles
Albanese.
consider the run back.
Al-
The player will keep it in Massimo Albanese. He's down at the 15, which relatively is a pretty deep start to begin your offensive series.
And that's pretty much what we saw in the previous kickoff by South Australia as well. Victoria faking the little bit of misdirection. But as it was, South Australia not fooled, and so once again, in a little bit of a hole to start off this possession. Sharks came away with a turnover last time, bounced off the hands and into the hands of Benjamin. Now the big question is, who's at quarterback for Victoria for this drive? Avia threw the interception last time, but he is also still the man. A little bit of a miscommunication about who goes where. Motioning out. 2 receivers either side, 1 in the backfield with Avia. Motioning across, hands it off. out wide and turning the corner out to the 20, fighting forward and stepping out of bounds at about the 28-yard line. Big run by number 13.
Fantastic run. If only we knew who he was.
Well, the perils of the constantly updated team sheet and what jerseys are actually available on the day. First down for Victoria, and Victoria will be leaning on that ground game. Still up 2 scores, just seeing if they can run clock and keep that lead standing on up. Two receivers in tight. Nobody got wide. Again, faking the handoff. This time Avia keeps it himself and wrapped up immediately. Gain of about 1.
Just looking at the different sidelines at the moment. The SA boys are still up and about. Haven't conceded the contest. The Victorian offense is over in a huddle. Not watching the game at the moment. Sorry, the Victorian defence, I should say, is over in a huddle having a chat. What just happened? What do we have to adjust to shut the Sharks out for the rest of the contest? 2nd and 8.
Two receivers out the side, one in the backfield, along with Avia. Avia drops back, has a nice pocket, and completes it to number 18. And that's Jack Pritchard. First down out towards midfield to about the 43-yard line. Pritchard and Battistella have been doing most of the damage through the air for the Eagles. As first down moves the chains and the clock will keep rolling now that the down markers have been set.
First and 10 for the Eagles. Every play they keep the ball. Winds down just a little bit more of the clock. Still very early days. I think we're playing 12-minute quarters. They're going to go to the air. Benjamin's in position for intercept number 3. Just over his head, intended for Albanese.
Albanese, but yes, once again, Benjamin. Not the player that I would be throwing to at this stage in the game.
You'd say, where's 9? I'm going the other way. But if you're a quarterback, you've always got to back yourself, or else you couldn't play the position.
Absolutely. So 2nd and 10 for the Eagles. They'll spread 2 receivers either side once again. Avia. Hands off up the middle. Straight up the middle goes Ben Curley, and big gain of about 8 into South Australian territory. So we'll be looking at 3rd down and about 2. Victoria will keep the offense on the field here, barring some penalty or disaster. This will be 4 down territory as Victoria looks to just put the strangle on the Sharks at this point.
Yeah, you get a first down, you get 4 more plays, and you should normally kill another 2 minutes of clock time.
Flag down. Pre-snap. Men in the backfield. Helmet
Oh,
lost.
not yet. Yeah.
No, once the helmet comes off, play is dead.
Yeah, that's
So.
as good as dropping.
Yes, just very, very important that once the helmet comes off, in order for your own protection, the play is essentially over. But the flag did come out immediately, so.
As spectacular and as entertaining as it looks to have a guy running around without a helmet, it is incredibly dangerous.
Yes.
And of
But
course,
flag down right at the snap
I didn't.
may not have had everybody on the line.
I'm assuming these are played IFAF rules. and they would have player safety. IFAF, International Federation of American Football, and, which is the
Offside. Defence in the neutral zone. That's a 5-yard penalty infraction. The helmet coming off unattainted by foul. That player is removed from the field until that's fixed.
So Avia has to come out of the game for a play.
So 5-yard penalty is going to give the Eagles a first down. That is in a game with so few penalties, and that could even be South Australia's first.
First
It's come at
accepted.
first accepted at a most inopportune time as Victoria bring back their starting quarterback.
Cruel under center, or in the shotgun rather. 2 receivers either side. Big gap between the 2 on the left. Motion across. Hand off up the middle. And big gain once again for Curley, but flag down in the backfield, and this one may be coming back.
Oh, this is like old timers reunion. G'day to
Yes,
Coach.
indeed. Indication is holding against the Eagles. So we'll do it again. 10
Holding.
yards.
52 of the offence. That's a 10-yard penalty. Replay the down.
Just want to send a couple of Cheerios to Coach Hollywood on the feed from earlier, and Miles, I assume Miles Newman, who I've refereed with in Queensland, is watching and confirms yes, it is IFAP rules.
If you're not familiar with IFAF but are familiar with other sorts of American football, IFAF would generally tend to mimic the NCAA collegiate level rules for the most part. There are a few differences, but for sake of argument, if you're familiar with those, you'd be familiar with these. So 1 safety back deep. South Australia showing pressure. Plenty of time, but coming off on the end there. Wrangled up and stopped. Stevens finally manages to bring it down at about the 51-yard line. Big carry there by Cruel, but another flag in the backfield, and so this one, again, indication is holding, and so this
Holding.
one-
73 of the offence. That's a 10-yard penalty. Replay the down.
So, 1st and 30 coming up for the Eagles.
In some twisted way, this is almost helping the Eagles. They keep regenerating plays, and each play winds down a tiny bit of clock.
Right. If you were going to be playing that strategy, you'd probably want to be committing penalties more in the 5-yard range rather than the 10. Because in this situation, now we're backed up where a bad snap could be disastrous.
So the coaches are here, having official. We junior game, 55 minutes away. Assuming this one doesn't have any overtime or extraordinary delays.
So,
And then back on the bus, back home.
Avia back into the game for quarterback for the Eagles. South Australia playing more deep than we've seen at all here today. Likely because, again, 30 yards for the first for Victoria. Avia, hands off, and 10 of those yards regained with a quick jaunt up the middle, out to about the 46-yard line. Need to get to the South Australian 34 for the first down, so still in Victorian territory, so still work to be done, but gain of about 10. 2 more of those, and you're right back on target.
If nothing else, this drive that's being extended a little bit's given Whitehead a chance to get a break and hopefully reset himself. I think he might actually be back in play next series. We'll see.
Yeah, at this rate of play, it will be difficult for South Australia to get the 2 possessions that they'll need. Throw out wide and wrapped up round about the original line of scrimmage, maybe gain of 1. Ball came out late and into the hands of Dallas Alkerich. Always nice as an offensive lineman to get your hands on the ball.
So we've got ourselves the third down at last.
3rd and 19, and again, with advantage of more than 10 yards to go, you might actually see Victoria punt, which you wouldn't tend to see in this area of the field, but with 19 to go, the math kind of changes a little bit. 2 receivers either side. Avia motions across, fakes the handoff to number 6, hands it off. Number 31, gets his legs chopped out. Number 7, Sam Crummy coming up from that little slot corner position and making the tackle on the much bigger man. Chopping the legs out exactly as you draw it up. 4th down and about, 16?
So Crummy, known locally more as the quarterback for the Eagles club, and is having a crack at defense today.
Quarterback
key stop.
and safety for the Eagles, yes indeed. But big play there, and this is going to be a big one. Once again, that shield punting formation being set up by the Eagles. Will they be bold once again? They set up that big rollout to the right, and he's going to keep it. He's going to be shoved out short, and so once again,
that's ambitious. 4th and 10. He had a decent chance of getting to the first ice cream cone, but 19. That's ambitious.
well, that's really just a setup by Victoria. They just set up everything to go to the right. The punter will roll to the right and just kind of read blockers and see if they have numbers going downfield. He must have liked the count.
If you do, you go for it. If you don't, you kick it away.
And that has been the setup every time Victoria has had to punt. Hasn't been too often here today, but
kicking on the run, different football, of course, is something that Australians are reasonably used to.
yes.
It freaks the Americans out big time, though.
Oh, absolutely. So 1st and 10 near midfield. Whitehead bounced back from that injury scare, throwing downfield, has a man way, over the head, incomplete. That would have been a 1-strike touchdown, had a man well behind the coverage, but unable to bring that one in. Just a little bit of an overthrow. Again, just not able to get enough air under that ball was Whitehead. If he just puts it up and let the receiver runs onto it, he is dancing in the end zone as we speak, as it is 2nd and 10.
Yeah, then we'd have a ball game. Feel like the Sharks are still in the contest here, especially with Whitehead back under centre. 2nd and 10, trailing by 10.
Hand off Bajiramana. Big gain on the ground. Biggest of the day for the Sharks on the ground, likely about 8 yards. But again, did not get out of bounds in time, starting to be a factor for the Sharks. Eagles are happy to give up that yardage with their 2-score advantage as long as everybody stays in bounds and the clock continues to roll. 2 receivers on the right, 1 in the up back on the left. A lot of silver helmets in the wide receiver position. Whitehead, Tukaba makes the catch. Tukaba fights his way back towards the original line of scrimmage.
Great fight.
Clock continues to roll.
He needed 1.5 yards and he got half of that. 4th down, and I don't think there's any question that South Australia are going to go for it right here. Is this the ball game? They may not get too many more possessions. So.
Barring a big turnover, this is the play. 2 receivers on the right, 1 in the up back to the left. Whitehead. Handoff. Met behind the line, forcing his way forward, and has the first down. Needed 1, got 2, and South Australia. Chains will move, clock will stop until the chains are reset and officials mark the ball ready for play. Down markers ready. So South Australia needs to pick things up.
Yes, they need a quick drive, quick score.
Motioning to an empty backfield. Whitehead looks to his right. Has a man. Complete. Fighting his way is Gavros. Mitchell Gavros inside the red zone.
And Robbie Bettles was tackling for his life there. Stop Gavros escaping down the sideline. Held him up long enough. So gain of 20. Sharks in the red zone.
We're hearing the Go Eagles chants, so always interesting because an Eagle made the catch for the Sharks, but 3 receivers on the left, 1 on the right. Whitehead looks left, feels the pressure, throws it up towards the middle of the end zone. Gavros, again the intended receiver, incomplete. Clock will stop, however, so South Australia will have a little bit of time to talk about this. But where was Gavros in the first half?
2 minutes. 2-minute warning. 1:53 on the game clock. 1:53.
So South Australia with 3 timeouts, but they need the score first. Down by 10, so this one is still theoretically within reach for the Sharks, but they need the touchdown here.
Yes.
Like fish need water.
Plenty of what-ifs to consider. That safety at the start of the third hasn't helped the Sharks here. Vic, 153 away from the win. Whitehead to the sideline to Olive, makes the catch, escapes one, steps out of bounds to stop the clock. That's what they've got to take into account now at the 12. Gain of
So figure about 6
4,
seconds.
and it's going to be 3rd and 6. So the Eagles are 2 good defensive plays away from ending this. Yes, they need 6 yards to keep the drive alive, but really need to find that end zone.
So motioning the up back to an empty set, and that's going to cost 5 yards. As South Australia got a little bit of a trying to steal a march, but referees are on top of that. Have not seen nearly as many procedural penalties as you'd expect, with
Prior to the
this
snap.
being the first
False
game
start.
that these teams
4
have
men on
played
the
in
offense.
months.
That's a 5-yard penalty. Replay the down.
But could not come at much worse of a time than that for South Australia. 3rd and 11. Less than 2 minutes remaining. 2 receivers either side. One is the up back on the left. Whitehead throws right. Has a man. Olive tackled at the 1 yard line. Call it the 1.5. No, mark it at the 2. So 1st and goal for South Australia. And most importantly, the clock stops. You do have timeouts, 3 timeouts, so you could potentially run it, take a timeout. But more realistically, you're going to be looking at shots in the end zone through the air, touchdown or incomplete. 2 receivers on the left, 1 in the up back to the right, 1 in the backfield with Whitehead. Pass block, Whitehead in and out of the hands. That would have been the big one there, but Pele de Francesca unable to hang on to it. 2nd and goal. Also, just pointing out, tremendous pickup by Giramana in the backfield, as had a man coming in unmolested. Big pickup there by the running back. Doesn't get talked about nearly enough.
Second down and goal. 10-point game. 2 yards away from getting 6 of those back. Whitehead has to avoid the rush. Could have walked. Oh, that's. Oh, jeez. He was 1 step from the end zone and decided to throw it over the receiver's head. He's down. Oh, that's one I would like to see on the replay because I thought he was just going to take one more step and score. But maybe it was harder than it looked.
So clock stops due to the injury timeout. So we'll have a little bit of a... No, we'll rule it an incomplete pass, so no clock coming off there. Masalam checking in. Figure that Whitehead saw that he wasn't going to get it. We're going to have a little conversation about this, about whether South Australia is going to have to spend a timeout to keep Whitehead on the field. If that is an injury timeout for a player, the player does have to miss the next play, unless the team spends a timeout, in which case he can stay on. So was it ruled to be an injury timeout for Whitehead? We will discuss. Or maybe we'll just call it an official conference for whether or not that was thrown in advance of the line of scrimmage. Who knows? Just speculating here, but Whitehead on the field. Have not had a call of timeout either way, so. No harm done. Two receivers on the right, one in the up back on the left. Masalam is the back with Whitehead. Low snap handled by Whitehead. Whitehead throwing towards the back of the end zone. Out the back of the end zone. Was looking for Olive, but incomplete. Ended up on the ground, did Whitehead. Pressure by Evan Vitt of Victoria. 4th and goal. Here's your ball game.
Sharks have certainly kept it competitive. They'll take a timeout. Makes sense. But
Timeout. South Australia. That's their first timeout for the half.
That means that if South Australia is able to make the touchdown here, a Victorian first down will end the game.
because Victoria, unless they fumble, would have 4 plays, and you can only stop them twice. Right now, it's all about finding
estimating
2
maybe
yards
a
of real
minute
estate.
20, a minute 30 left in the game. 2 timeouts means that South Australia would only be afforded the 1 chance to make the stop unless they go for the onside kick route. But lots of work to do before then. We are looking at 4th and goal. This is the ball game for the Sharks. 1 and the up back on the left, 2 on the right. Whitehead looks right. Whitehead under pressure. Rolls, throws, out of the hands of Gavros. Incomplete, broken up. Number 7, Utumapu. Victor Utumapu with the breakup, and that will pretty well put this one in the record books. Victoria The big surge at the end of the first half, too much for the Sharks to overcome. But Victoria can't just kneel it out either. They are deep in their own end zone. Like, Victoria would have the time to kneel it out, we would say, but I was clarifying that Victoria may not has the time advantage, but doesn't have the space at the moment, running it straight up the middle. Gain to about the 4-yard line, which may give the Victorians enough time to roll this one out. Clock will roll. Victoria, despite the layoff and making the round trip, will go home victorious. South Australia fought to the end, but could not overcome the turnovers in the first half. Two receivers either side. South Australia showing pressure. Clock rolls all the way down. Victoria rolling out to the right. Has the first down. Slides down at the 20, and that will do it. Flag down
Flag in the backfield,
at
and
the
let's have another
3-yard
one.
line, and depending on where the flag was thrown, if this is a hold, no, 2 flags on the field. So if this was a hold in the end zone, that would be a safety.
Yep, and SA could get
But
the ball
2
back.
flags down means that even if that is, you might be offsetting. So big call here from the officials. We go to Gordon.
Holding, number 12 of the offense. That's a 10-yard penalty assessed as half the distance to the goal. Dead ball, unsportsmanlike conduct against the sideline. That's a 15-yard penalty assessed as half the distance to the goal. Replay the down.
So, replaying the down, which means that all the clock that expired continue to expire, but we'll be looking at first down from the 1-inch line. So once again, the little extracurricular from the Eagles prevent this one from just being kneeled out, which means that the threat of a safety does still loom. Theoretically, it's not over. So motion across, handoff up the middle, makes it towards the goal line, and that is the safety, which means South Australia lives on. 2 points to South Australia, which means it is 16-8, and Victoria will have to kick it to South Australia. Not sure of the time remaining in this one, and we have an injured Victorian Eagle down. Hate to see it, particularly at this stage in the game. That's number 71, Dallas.
Well, there's your ball game. SA will not get the ball back. The ball is in the air from our head referee. That is all she wrote, folks, in the senior game. South Australia are going back to receive a ball they're never going to get. Final score in the border battle. The Victoria Eagles have come and won 16-6 over South Australia.
So 16-8, the final score.
Yes.
Eagles coming in and leaving with the victory over the Sharks. Sharks unable to overcome the miscues, but a well-fought game. Interesting and captivating down to the wire. Tremendous game, and we hope that you'll stay with us for the junior game coming up next. This has been Nicholas Priest and Phil Hurden. We're going to take a quick break, and we will see you for the junior game.
Just a couple of quick thoughts for the Eagles. They'll always take the win. After having a little bit of absence from interstate competition for a while, they're back in the game. South Australia, who have proven in their last run of matches to be a little bit uncompetitive with the rest. Much better effort, a lot of what ifs, but I reckon that's a foundation they can build on, Nick, for what hopefully will be more interstate games to come.
Absolutely.
And thanks for joining me today, and I'll leave you to sign off.